I'm Alexander Thomas from lewdgamer.com. I'm currently talking to John, developer of Blackgate, a game that's currently in development. First of all, we'd like to tell our readers a bit about yourself and the game.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is John, or a lot of people know me as Bane, and I'm developing a visual novel called Blackgate. It's a project I've been working on for past year or so as a result of just my life, and it's my way of just expressing myself. And it's been a really fun project to work on. It's a lot of fun to, you know, work on it. And the project is, as I said before, it's an interesting story about how you come to be in this town filled with monsters. And basically, the entire premise is that you're in this town with monsters. How do you deal with that? So I leave a lot of things up to player, and I'm going to be developing that as the game progresses on how you perceive everything and what your perception is of what is going on. And your perception is definitely changed by who you interact with, how you interact with them, and you get a different story depending on who you're interacting with. So there's a lot of different things going on with it, and it's a lot of fun to write. And yeah, that's about it. It's pretty awesome. And yeah, it's Blackgate.
Are there any other people currently working with you? Do you have a development team, or are you doing this by yourself?
So currently, I'm doing all of the writing, coding, pretty much marketing, and anything else. The visuals are done by the sprites and the backgrounds are going to be done by someone called Mr. E. And the illustrations are done by someone named Dark Gem. And that's it. So we're just three of us.
Why did you want to create this game? Did you have any inspiration from other games or media?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've had a lot of different inspirations. First one that a lot of people think of right away is there's very much a Silent Hill vibe going on, where it's a weird town. I can't really escape it. It's dark. Other inspirations have been definitely Lovecraft inspired, and a lot of the actual writing. Some of my inspiration has come from pretty much my own life and how I view the world. And I think a famous author once said that it's not inspiration, it's desperation that really gets something going. So part of it was desperation that I even started to create it.
Okay, you have a working demo up on your Patreon page. I've played through it a bit, and I've seen that the artwork is very detailed, and a lot of other bits of the game are very detailed. How long has it taken you to get to this stage in development?
So currently, we're going on to demo number 15. So every 2 weeks, I release a demo. I've learned, because I thought that would be the best way to do a continual update to show, who's supporting me or who's interested, how I'm updating it. I've come to find that's called agile programming. I had no idea that the way that I'm actually producing Blackgate is that, agile programming, and it's actually what a lot of software developers are tending towards. Is like every 2 weeks, you show something so that you get the feedback to change anything. So if I'm on demo number 15, it's been 30 weeks, give or take. I've been doing this.
Are you using an existing game engine for Blackgate, or is it built from scratch?
I'm using RenPy. So I started with RenPy as the base, and then from there, a lot of it's just been my own coding, my own writing. Um, yeah, that's it.
Okay, have you found any difficulties when it comes to development or exposure of the game?
In terms of writing, absolutely, there are some definite challenges that I've come to find when writing. In terms of exposure, I never really thought of, you know, any of the exposure. I've just been, kind of just talking about it, just word of mouth, being like, hey, if you're interested, check this out. But I never really anticipated anything from it. The fact that I'm actually giving an interview is kind of very surprising to me. This is my first interview about all of this, and I never thought when I started this that it would get this far. So I'm part in shock and in awe of the support that I've received, and so the exposure is I've just let it go, and generally I just keep talking to people, talking to others, having discussions, really figuring out what is working, what is not working, how I can change things. So that's a big part of the development, is actually discussing with people. In terms of, as I said before, the difficulties with writing, the way that I'm writing certain characters is I have to turn myself up to 11, but that's pretty easy to do. I can just, turn my own personality up to 11 and write this character or that character. But there are some characters that are very alien to me, that I do not see myself at all in them. And so having to create that, it's like having to develop different knobs that you have to turn to create these different characters and get into character and write them, which is interesting because it's part acting.
Okay, what audience are you hoping to reach with the game? Is it aimed more towards the furry community, or are you going to be broadening your demographic a bit?
So right now I've decided that with this project I'm going to stay with the furry community. And for future projects, I'm probably going to broaden things. This is just what I wanted to do, and this is, a project that I started. But I also have plans for other projects, because I feel that there is a lack of romance video games. I guess is the best way to describe it. There are a good amount of them, but I feel like what there needs to be is that. So you have, the typical romance game, a typical visual novel. It can be kind of, superficial with what's going on. But I feel like there is also a market for some stories and for some games to reach a different area in terms of what the romance is. And so that's what future projects will probably look at. Be looking more towards tragedy love stories and things that evoke different emotions rather than just lust. So, I mean, that lust is going to be there. It's definitely a part of it, but I want there to be something else.
Okay, the protagonist is human. That's not typical in furry-themed adult games. Was there any reason for that design choice?
I felt as though having the protagonist be human and be faceless allows for a different level of immersion. And it also allows for a certain story elements that come up later. The fact that, you're human, you're pretty much, you're faced with all of these creatures and these monsters who are obviously stronger than you. And so there's this helplessness eventually in the story that you realize, wow, I am completely out of my league. And so I felt that going with that route with a human was probably best way to get immersion and to get just a human in there.
Are there any scenes in the game that you thought about including but were cut?
Absolutely. A lot of them. I will write scenes, I will reread them, and I will remove them because either I'm telling too much of the story, or I'm not telling any of the story, which is a challenge that you want every interaction to forward, direct the story, direct what you're doing somewhere. If there's just filler, then it might get boring. If there's too much story, then it's way too much to handle at once. So sometimes I'll write scenes where I'm like, I get really excited. I'm like, I want to show I want to write all this stuff. I want to say all these different things. And then I read it. I'm like, oh, I can't say that yet. Or I can't, that can't happen yet. Or things are moving too quickly or anything like that. So it's mainly for pacing purposes.
Do you have a favourite character from the game, or any of them based on real people or fictional people?
Yes, to all. So my favorite character is probably the mayor of the town. Andros is his name. He's a giant owl demon. I guess that's the easiest way to explain it. He's based off of some older demonology research that I've done, and thought he was really cool. He's the mayor. He's very cryptic, and I like that because it means that there's a lot you can do. You're given like this mystery character. You can do a lot with them without doing very much. So he's my favorite because he's a really great tool to use to tell different story elements. In terms of characters that are based off of individuals that I know or other individuals, yeah, the a lot of the inner monologues and the different things that the main character thinks are things that I would think at times writing things. So you'll actually see my sarcasm sometimes going through the writing, where I'm very blunt about certain things being absolutely ridiculous, or I'll make fun of myself sometimes while writing, and that comes through with the human character as he thinks. As for some of the other creatures, I have grabbed some inspiration from individuals around me. Like, okay, I'll take this personality and try to turn it up to 11, as I said before, and I have to act as different people to create these characters.
Okay. Do you know how you'll be distributing the game, and is there currently a price tag in mind?
Yeah, I've thought about how I'm going to be distributing it and the price tag and all of that. I've decided that I'll be distributing it under the model of pay what you want. I feel as though a paywall having a certain price for it to play it is probably the most detrimental thing I could do to for the project for Blackgate. That is because I want as many people as I can, try it, say something about it, and if they want to give money, they can give money. It's not the focus of what I'm doing. If they do give money, what that will be going to is future projects, and I felt as though this model of having pay what you want for it, I can get people to come to the website. If they want it for free, they can get it for free. I can't stop piracy, so I might as well get that information, get those metrics on who and how many coming to the website, downloading it, how many are getting it, who are downloading it for free. I'm not going to begrudge them that because they could probably pirate it anyways. So I just want to know who and how many so that I can have this discussion with the appropriate audience.
There's been controversy on Patreon after they changed their TOS to disallow any adult material. I recently spoke with the developers of The Cat House Tale, and they've said that Patreon seems to be fine, and that Patreon itself seems to be leaving artistic adult material alone. Have you run into any problems in this regard?
I have not run into any problems with Patreon, none at all. I haven't posted anything too explicit to Patreon because I respect that that platform is meant for more of a, you can show like basic nudity. I have pictures that are, basic nudity in there, but nothing too explicit. I leave the very explicit things out of what I post there on Patreon. It's in the demo, but it's not on Patreon. But so I haven't had any problems.
No problem. Okay. I'd like to give you a little time to talk about the game, just in case there's anything that we didn't cover that you feel would be appropriate for our readers to know if they want to go look at your game.
Sure. I mean, if you're more than happy to download it, play it, try it out, give your opinion. Reach out to me any way you want. You can just yell at me and I'll try to respond. If you have criticism, I want to hear it because this is a project that's in progress. And as I said before, I like knowing what is working, what is not working, so that I can base future decisions on how to make it better. And that, I think, is my ultimate goal. And if any of your readers want to try it out and tell me that it's horrible or that it's great, I'll be more than happy to listen.